Okay, so we have a MacBook Pro here that it seemed to have severe water damage. So when we checked it here, the traces that were on this corner were burnt pretty severely. So we rebuilt those traces and cleaned everything up. And after we did that, we actually got a green LED on our power adapter. So then we were doing everything by keyboard bypass on this system. So what I'm going to do is hook this up and see what we get. We're going to turn it on. So we do get the system to power on. And we're going to open it up and see if we get anything out of the display. So we hear this faint sound, one single beep, which we got out of the system when we took and cleaned everything up and put it back together. What we're going to do is turn this off, and we can turn our system off by the keyboard bypass also. So we have that off, and what we found is just basic test, like we test everything. This is DDR3 RAM, so you know, our assumption before was that DDR3 RAM did not fail at the same rate as DDR2. DDR2 will fail quite a bit, but what we're going to do is turn this system on. So we have it turned on. We have power to it. Fans are going. We're going to open this up again, and we'll see what happens. So we get a chime, and we get a backlight. We should get a display. We should see the Apple here in a second, and see a scrolly. Of course, we'll get a folder error. So we know that our repair on the chip actually worked to initialize the backlight, so we know that the video cable and everything is working, and we do get power to the system. We do realize that, so we have our folder here saying that it cannot initialize the folder. So with this system, we found that the DDR3 RAM was bad in it, which is, in our test, is not very typical, but we found that to be the case in this one. So what we're going to do is turn this system off and close everything up, and you know, we're going to call it fixed. We may take and hook the keyboard and the power button up to it just to verify. That'll be all the parts over here in this section. So we'll hook everything up and then test it again here in a second, but I can't do that with one hand. So we'll do it here and test everything out and make sure it's good to go. Alright, so we have all the ribbon cables hooked up and the system's ready to be tested. Let's see if it'll turn on. We'll have to push this power button right here. And we're pushing it and there's nothing happening, which I'm not exactly sure why that's going on. It appears everything's hooked up, so maybe the keyboard's bad when the water damage happened. Perhaps it's not. We'll have to check our connections again and see what we find, but we'll do that here in a second. Alright, so we've tested our connections and we can push our power button and still not get anything out of the system. So we get no fans or anything like that. But we can still do our keyboard bypass and get the fans to turn on and get the backlight to initialize. We can still see the system does attempt to power on and does show a backlight and does go to the folder. So in the water damage, perhaps the keyboard got damaged. Only true way to test that would be to put it on a different system, which we could do that and test it out. But as for right now, we're going to say that the upper is probably this portion right here, the keyboard, trackpad, and all that may be damaged from the water spill. So we'll let that be for what it is right now, and then we'll move on to the next one and call this one complete.